and them foul shot, aka the Toothless Wonder, aka the People's Champ, aka Shadow Band Shotty, reporting live on the Bamboozled Again News Network. You feel me? And this video will be highlighted by somebody I saw on Facebook that I personally know, right, from my time working at the False Rehab Center, right? So he had made a post, well, somebody else had posted it and made it on TikTok, right? Whereas though my mind say, if your value is, how you got bottled water, it's one price at Dollar Tree, let's say, another price in the airport, another price at the amusement park. And it's saying, these people don't value, your value is based on your location, and you need to get people around you, whoop, the whoop, the whoop, the whoop, right? Nice little TikTok jump, right? And immediately my spirit got angry, right? Not out of hate or nothing like that. But here the tripping part, though. I had seen the same video almost worded the same way like 4 different times this week alone, right? And then I went back and looked at some of his other TikTok videos, right? And the brother was doing one of these numbers where he out in the community or whatever the case may be, and he's recording himself, giving them, just giving random people money. How's it in the word where it say something to the effect, if you do like good deeds, you're supposed to do them in secret, and I know you pray in secret, and the Most High rewards you openly, right? All this like, or how when you pray, with vain repetitions and using these $50 words to be appeased of men. You know what I'm saying? When you're supposed to go in your secret chamber and do that there. Hey, what's going on, Tamika? What's happening with it? This video about just what I see as far as false chosen ones, or everybody taking this chosen one doctrine and just for financial purposes or social esteem, right? For my personal research and my personal life journey, hey, Miss Pearl, what's happening with it? For my personal life journey, this is what a lot of times these YouTubers or whatever you say, and they give a nice halftime speech, right? But what they leave out is what you're chosen to do. You're chosen to obey the Most High, His laws, statutes, and commandments. And in doing that in this world, you're chosen to suffer. But it is then through the suffering that produces spiritual fruit. That's what these people leave out of it. How do you claim a certain chosen one talking point, but never go to the Bible, which reiterates who are the chosen people or how you're chosen, regardless of race, right? And I'm saying this all over the place. But with these so-say chosen ones, they're accepted of the world. So how do we have all these chosen folk, even though the path is narrow? That's an oxymoron. It's no different to me. Again, I always go back to the fake preacher man, right? Where he know the word, he can regurgitate it to you, but he don't live none of it. If we look at, let's say, the people in the scriptures, right? They live hard lives. If you're chosen, and I'm getting into a greater threshold of this, it is not my will, but His will. And more oftentimes than not, His will is not for you to be popular or to have a whole bunch of money. Because as I did in the last video, money, power, and prestige will divert you from your primary purpose. Tamika said, because the devil got chosen ones too, wheat and the tares. Yeah, and people have said I got the gift of prophetic, right? But if that's the case, you definitely called to suffer. But I just be saying stuff, and then it ends up happening, or what I said last week will lead me into what I'm talking about now. But I'll be really trying to think about what I'm gonna talk about. But I'm saying it all over the place. I mean, what do you do other than allow them to do so? But my thing is, there are people who I believe are really striving to latch onto something. But before they can get to the actual truth that'll typically shake your whole reality, the adversary always preemptively comes in with the false light or the artificial light, thinking, in lip service, oh, this is great, or oh, I've had these experiences, or people stare at me, or, I've been rejected. That's gonna happen. If I'm overweight and walk into a store, people are gonna stare at me. That don't necessarily mean you chosen. Or or if you've been, rejected in a relationship. I don't know nobody in Babylon who hasn't gone through that. That in and of itself don't mean you chosen. But through all that, what did it produce? Because ultimately, from what I see, when people go through various things, especially now, they actually get worse. Or if they do get on a personal, spiritual development journey, it's really like, the I-ism kind of thing. Where, I'm so great, I endured this. You know what I'm saying? When I was just reading through Psalms, David sounds powerful, but through the vast majority of the Psalms, he was talking about how his bones were dried up and how his enemies had oppressed him, and, how he waits upon Yah, excuse me, to deliver him in his time. And that's a space I'm getting into. I do what I can do, but this is the Most High's will. Now, granted, for me, it's I don't mean to do this. I'm kind of like the little kid who want to do all this great stuff, but it's not necessarily practical. But the older people know he's not maliciously doing it. He just don't know no better right now. You know what I'm saying? All that's chosen for views or a nice, good halftime speech and whatnot, it has no substance to it. Okay, like what my man said on the TikTok video about, the value of bottled water is $1 Dollar Tree. It's one price at an amusement park, another price on an airplane. Okay, then after he said that and it sounds good, yeah, that's right. Then what you do with it after that? Normally just go back to living how you living, because, delving into matters of the Most High, it hurt. It hurt. If he had told me, first of all, you don't choose to be chosen. He choose you. That's how that worked. And again, you're right. Tamika said there's no spirit, no truth. Or they give you just enough of the truth to chime you in, but enough of the left-handed, new agey kind of stuff to lead you into almost worship of yourself or worship of your abilities when you have no power attached to the vine. That's the part they leave out of it. And then I wonder, thinking back on my journey through recovery and various treatment centers, the church and all that, I'm like, I'm trying, these people sound genuine or they seem, whatever, but why I just can't get with them all the way? Because it was no spirit in it. I've never heard one of these brothers, now they might talk about suffering or being rejected or so on and so forth, right? But I've never heard none of these brothers say, because of this, I found a greater relationship with the Most High. Even though I've been, heartbroken all my life, I'm protective of my energy, but I'm still open and able to love, you know what I'm saying? Without nobody looking at me. I just do it, you know what I'm saying? Like if ain't no camera around or nothing like that. You feel me? Man, these folk, wow. But again, because the tares and the wheat are growing up together, I guess we just got put up with it. That's above my pay grade at this point. But I see it all over the place. Or I see things that are, like, that's why I hop on here and be totally transparent. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not trying to act like I'm holier than thou, or like I've been a fool most of my life. The fool has now become wise. Well, how would you know that I'm wise? Because I don't get jammed up in the stuff that used to jam me up 1,000 times. And for all the new bamboozlements that are coming off an assembly line now, I haven't got tricked into none of them. These same so-say chosen folk probably got the jab. Here's my part, right? And I was just reading this as well, where I say, if the world hate you, remember that it hated Yeshua and the prophets before you. It's not that they hate you, they hate what's in you. Like the old gospel song I used to hear when I was growing up. The joy that I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. So I choose to be somewhat content and happy. Not because this is going right or that's going right, because I don't feel like walking around my mud broke down because stuff in the world is worlding to a degree, or I ain't got what I want. I started making a conscious choice to be happy with nothing. Not because, oh, these people like me, or, oh, I have this mate and they look this way and all that. I just chose to be happy and content with the little I was allowed to have at that point in time, which actually created stewardship. You see what I'm saying? So now with the various things I just had, I'm back in my car now. I was out of the car like 3 weeks, had a rental, whoop. I just had to weather the storm, but I didn't do anything outside of anything unethical or anything, mischievous to solve the problem of my own self. I get the car back when I get it back. but let me be thankful that I live in proximity and I can ride a bike to work in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Even in reference to me, right? And here's another thing. If you're chosen, right, why aren't you getting oppressed in any degree? How are you chosen, but everybody like you? I don't understand that. Now, mind you, me, myself, I ain't did nothing to nobody in recent memory, right? But and I still do it when I feel like it. I ran afoul of the Sisterhood, the Practitioners of Witchcraft, and a Jewish-ran organization, a small town I live in. And ain't nothing happened. Not because I'm, whatever. But the only reason I ran afoul of them is because I told them the truth. How's that in the word? Have I become your enemy now that I tell you the truth? To power or to whomever? And if I'm able to do that, imagine the harsh truths I had to tell myself and then do something about it when nobody was around. This wasn't done for no pats on the back or anything like that. This was done in reference to, my understanding or revelation at that time that the Most High been saved me all my life. When I was a pure, complete, beady-eyed fool, you understand? And there's delayed gratification with that. So it took me years of not using drugs just to get back on deck in a societal sense. You see what I'm saying? I routinely say no to people, places, and things more than I say yeah, because it's not in alignment with my spirit. And I had the ability to do so because that ability was honed in the fire of affliction. So now I just don't be jumping at every old opportunity that come my way. Actually, I'll be very leery of because now what's happened, I'm protective of the oil in my lampstand. The way I see it now, for me personally, other than going from point A to point B or just being in nature, exercising or whatever the case may be, it ain't a whole lot outside for me because all the other than YouTube, all the bamboozlers outside, all the broken people outside. You see what I'm saying? I heal in isolation in the dark, for the most part, by my lonely. You see what I'm saying? There's no healing outside. Now, let's say the disciples were outside, they were doing it like that. You know what I'm saying? Healing is a self journey that you owe to yourself. I value myself now. That's why I don't fool with it. You see what I'm saying? I value myself now. That's why you can't, I'm not prone to being bamboozled. And because I haven't had people in my life like that, I don't really, now if they're genuine of the spirit like mine, so on and so forth, that's one thing. But I've been isolated for so long, especially how I see it now in a social observational standpoint. I don't see what the purpose or the benefit of me aggressing myself to anybody when the vast majority of people you run into, to some degree or some level, are bamboozlers. Deceiving, as I worded, deceiving people and they themselves being deceived. And whatever's going on with the spiritual climate here as we get closer to maybe, let's say, World War III and the onset of, the scriptural tribulation and all that, many bamboozlers have gone out into the world. So how would you know if someone's actually living and or telling the truth? Typically, they probably by themselves, to some degree, outside of maybe their close-knit family circle, but they ain't running in no large groups. I'm just starting to get into Acts now. You had the institution of the Pharisees and the scribes and so on and so forth, right? And then you had the followers of the way, which were a small sect, right? Now, the people in institutions didn't have no power outside of social status that was given to them by the ruling governing body. You know what I'm saying? The power of the way, or the people of the way, John the Baptist and all them, right, came from the Most High. That's why, as I see it now, people who don't have any organizational ties, 501c3 ties, have more of an effect, power, influence, and impact than people who had all the resources and the government backing them. So much so that they got, on the radar of these said people, the religious organizations and the governing bodies, and they was in the field doing good works, healing folk. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's up, brother Am? But I noticed that, and I noticed in my personal life when you're chosen, right? Because I got some great ideas. And I do believe that the Most High is restricting me to some degree to keep me humble. I've heard from my man Faith and Gates was saying how, the disciples had all this power, they could raise the dead, give people eyesight, heal the sick, you know, things of that nature. Oh, I'm trying to read this comment. It's kind of hard. What was that? Oh, they had done all these things right, but they said the Most High kept them in proverbial poverty and in want and in constant need and dependence on him so that they wouldn't get too egotistical thinking, this is my own power that I'm doing this in. When I got hit by the car and broke my neck by my brainstem, I literally got resurrected that night. The doctors were baffled. And outside some neck stiffness here and there, I have no residual effect other than the memory that don't hold me in any kind of PTSD from the event. And that's when he let me know I am taking, he been had it, of course, I just didn't know. I am taking sovereign reign and control over your life from this point forward. It literally felt like, and then I read it in a book at like a thrift store where the author had said, excuse me, where the author had said, it literally felt like the Most High got off his throne and dealt me personally. And then at that point, you know what I went through? Suffering. I used to waterproof bathing. I couldn't do that anymore. I was broke so long, I forgot what money looked like. My shawty had just passed away 3 months prior. Now I'm starting to see what they highlight on here, narcissistic abuse through my father, in which, and it's all forgiven, in which he was seeking to control, change narratives, keep me dependent on him, so on and so forth. But at none of this, did anybody ever sit me down and say, hey, you know, why don't you go get some help? Or, hey, why don't you do this with your money? They all just picked at the carcass till the carcass was clean. And then after that, that's when I went in my wilderness period where I was homeless for a period of time and couldn't get out of it. Went to various organizations, institutions, and literally wherever I was supposed to be at wouldn't show up on my phone. Now you got to feel this, because pain and suffering will forge things in you. Like the fire of affliction, it talks about refining you, getting off the impurities and so on and so. Now, by no means am I perfect, but I don't have to think to do right. It's just become a lifestyle. And I don't mean do right for the sake of doing right in a worldly sense. I mean do right as an ambassador, a representative of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? Which is an honorable position, and I don't take that lightly. You see what I'm saying? But again, at the same time, I'm not either the pious, you know, religious kind of guy, or I don't go outside condemning everybody for whoop the whoop the whoop the whoop. I just try to walk and live right. What else is there at this point? What else? And I think that's why the one world religion stuff is coming in, and I don't know what this person talking about you kill, treat right, but whatever, I'll pay him no mind. I don't even know how black people on here. But anyway, I'll figure that out. Hey, what's up, bro, Vince? What's happening with it? With whatever's happening in the spiritual realm, right? A mass deception is underway and being rolled out on us as we speak. I was thinking about this too, right? Because I had covered the tariff stuff and all that, and then we seen the stock market drop and whoop, 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 right? I don't even care nothing about that. Yeah, price stuff, okay. It been going up, okay. But that proverbial storm shouldn't take my focus off Yahusha. You see what I'm saying? But if you're not careful, this random 24 cycle of the news and, you know, this going on in the dating world, this going on financially, this going on with AI. Yeah, I see it. You know, I'm wise. I try to be a watchman, right? But let me not divert my focus from Yahusha. You know what I'm saying? Because who else gonna get us through this? Money won't even be able to save you. Like I was thinking about, you know, my LLC and, you know, kind of doing some Babylonian magic in the financial sphere. That's legal, you know. Babylon, the land of loopholes, if you can find it. But even if I do that, whatever immediate mode of currency they're using, I'll still have to stick it in some type of institution or entity that they set up. So let me not store up my treasures on earth. You see what I'm saying? But I notice, like, again, back to the chosen one people, you know what I mean? Like, they'll say, oh, I'm rejected, but then feel bad about, and I guess we've all been there, but then feel, hey, what's up, brother Tim Godspeed? They'll feel bad about being rejected, right? And initially in the implement or the infancy stages of your journey, yeah, because you don't know no better. Like, darn, you know what I'm saying? I had the best of intentions, or I got the ability to see the best in people, you know what I'm saying? Now when people reject me, it's for my benefit, and I'm actually happy. Just like when I left the job. I've literally seen a 2-year period of me leaving that job, everyone other than maybe 1 or 2 people regress from who they once were because they kept themselves in an institution that had spiritually eroded them to the point where they're no longer who I first met. I'm still the same. I mean, I'm growing, evolving, constantly learning things of that nature through life circumstance and, situation. But these people have regressed greatly because I believe that attachment is the root of all suffering. So I attach, and it takes a level of faith to do this, to leave a job that's messing with your soul and your spirit. But I believe I passed that test because I was sustained in leaving. But had I stayed, I'd been on the job flipping out, and then I would have became something that people hadn't previously seen and then felt justified because now I got to deal with a whole bunch of vipers on a daily basis. No, I might go through the woods and that's where vipers at, but ain't no viper supposed to be in my house or where, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. But again, because of the pain and suffering that one by my own hand that I had to go through, it now gave me the wisdom to get by stuff that typically I wouldn't have been able to get through. And from what I see, trip everybody else up repeatedly. So it's not like I'm better because I'm smarter. I'm actually better because I submitted to the process and the will of the Most High. And we're talking about over a decade. I work now in the substance abuse treatment field. But prior to that, in a short, maybe almost a year, I was there at the job 2 different times. I hadn't worked consistently in a decade. How does someone survive like that? It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then what's crazy is, let's say the rejection is actually for your protection. We hear that evil community. You right? And now, yeah, because I was Tamika say evil communication corrupts good character, and I noticed that because I'm like because I don't really be around people like that. So I'm like the older person in your family who might just want to ask you what's going on, and then when you tell them, they like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, y'all did that, and I was so blown away by just the level of decision making and decorum of the professionals I found myself around. I said, nah, I can't be around this. It was almost like watching stories. Like I talked about the one girl and her girlfriend, they just had babies by the same dude. I'm like, huh? Now I want to see who this dude is, I digress, right? I said, man, my spirit said, let me get up out of Dodge, right? And then here was crazy, because my mom saying, yo, we need the job. Yo, we got bills to pay, child support, woo. I go and this has happened a couple times. I go all the way to the job and can't get out the car. But my mom saying, yo, you only got 8 more hours, yo, then you off 2 days, yo. You can do this, Cal. Yo, it ain't nothing to you, yo. Come on, man. But I sat right here. And that's another space that I don't see a lot of, and I'm just newly into the space or the mindfulness thereof. How do you know if you're being led by the Spirit? What does that look like? You know what I'm saying? For me, it's my intuition, my conscience. Just like I just said, like my mind telling me, yo, go to work, yo. They just hired you back, woo. My spirit saying, man, bump that job, man. We going drive all the way to the beach and pray. That's what we finna do. The only time my body worked is when I called my supervisor to get the keys, and then I could get out the car and hand her the keys. But I sat in that parking lot almost an hour and could not get out the car. And how's it worded? Forgive me, y'all. Those who are called by God or led by the Spirit of God, that is the only thing that's going to lead you in the times we're embarking upon now. You can't beat it with money. You can't beat it with your intellect. You can't beat it with foresight and pre-plan. You can't, because it's spiritual. So because what we see now is taking place, the spiritual timing we're in is manifesting itself in the physical reality. The only way to navigate is being led by the Spirit. Like out of nowhere, a few years back, I just started dreaming about going to North Carolina out of nowhere. I'm like, just out of nowhere. But I believe the Most High got a remote control and started triggering my spirit to desire something that he wanted me to do. But at that time, I'm just thinking all of a sudden, I just got the desire to go to North Carolina. He was removing me from where I was at so he could set up a situation to take place years later that actually started my deconstruction. So all things do work for those who are called by Yah and called according to his purpose. But I cried every day for a year and some change to keep it real in the battlefield. I ain't never known no pain like that. But because of the pain of losing someone that I had a deep connection with, now where we see where everybody just splacking like it's 1999, I'm in no danger of just messing with any old woman because my flesh flare up. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta be around people that do something for my spirit. You know what I'm talking about? And you ain't gotta be perfect. Just be genuine. You ain't gotta have it all going on. And you can have your issues and struggles. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be more inclined to deal with the wino on the corner and give him a couple dollars for a beer and chop it up with him than some doctor who got all this social status and just came back from, some lecture at Yale. You know what I'm saying? Because he ready to get left like everybody else is. And I know the science and the spirit conflict. Because science, you got to prove it. The things of the spirit that they're trying to, open up these portals for black matter and all that, things, you can't measure it, but you feel the impact. You see what I'm saying? Like, I rolled dolo from state to state, right? And not an ego or anything, but I have left a positive impact on everybody I personally encountered, no matter what my situation was. But that's not me. That's whatever the Most High has implanted in me. You see what I'm saying? So typically when I leave a situation, again, not out of ego or I'm so great at this, that, and the third, the environment changes, such as my old job. Now, the world, if you're chosen, will make you think you less than, because let's say you ain't got all the money in the world, or you don't have this social status. So everything's inverted, you feel me? So because you're actually, royalty, they actually got you thinking you less than when people reject you, when in reality, how my man Dragonfly Jones, I think it was Jerome Wrong. He said it was an honor for y'all to meet me. You know what I'm saying? And it was. And I wasn't grandstanding or seeking to garner attention, anything like that. It just happens naturally. You know how the spirit flows. You see what I'm saying? Now, on the left-hand side of things, everybody's getting into all this occultic, I guess, new agey kind of spiritualism. That's really worship of yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you're chosen, one, to suffer and to do the will of the Most High, whatever that is. When I was just reading in Acts, I'm just getting to the John part, where his sole purpose of being on earth was basically to be the heralded messenger of the Messiah and then get beheaded. And he had to be all right with that. I'm pretty sure, like when he was in jail, and I think he sent word to Yeshua. And then he sent the message back, basically telling him, like, your purpose is fulfilled. Great job. You about to get your head chopped off. And he had to be all right with that. No matter how this turned out, I'm going to have to be all right with my greatest dreams and desires and sacrificing them on the altar of the Most High. So what do I love more? The gift or the gift giver? Like, I got to ask myself these questions. You see what I'm saying? And I don't tend to kind of stray from the path, or kind of know the detriment of that. But I have to, in doing a self-audit, I got to ask myself, what do I love more? The Most High or what I think the Most High can do for me? And typically, if you're anything such as myself or enjoy my content to any degree, a lot of times you'll notice people didn't really love you. They love how you made them feel when they were around you or what you could do for them. But the minute that was taken away or something to that effect, you notice the love change or how they treat you change. Tamika said, prepare the way of Yahuwah and make his path straight. I keep hearing that. So now what I'm open to is just, and it is hard for me. I'm getting better with it in mindfulness, right? Just casting my cares upon the Lord and allowing him to lead and direct his steps, right? Because it's not my will, it's his will. Now, he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. But I'm of the belief if we're doing that, then our will will end up becoming his will anyway. We're going to want what he wants anyway. And especially here in Babylon where, a lot of materialism or the illusion thereof and, the promotion of self, all that occult type stuff, worship of yourself, do as thou wilt, like Aleister Crowley, man, and all that. I still do it. I still kind of do it, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to lead a country, and it might not be his will. So let's say, because I've kept trying stuff, so does that mean I'm being hindered and I should try harder or be diligent? Or does that mean it ain't for you, stop and seek my face? You see what I'm saying? What's going on, Richie? He says, the Most High told my mother and father hates me, but love me because I'm hood and because I make them laugh. Right. But do they love you for you? Do they love you when you sick? You see, and I've been through that all my life. And then I started noticing my man SRBG had did a real good joint talking about the dark truth of the chosen, where outside of a few people, as I got on this path of healing myself, not realizing what I was doing, I said, God darn, it seemed like everybody had the script and left me out of it. It seemed like, even the people I had the most love for, it's like they was in on it, like that Truman Show where he discovered all the people around him are actually working against him to keep him in the dark. And I'm like, wow, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when it comes from family and friends. And then here's what's tripping. The people who have had the greatest impact on my life have only been there for a short amount of time, at best maybe a couple years, and then the Most High call them home. Now it's right back to isolation. It's right back to because my path don't make no sense. So let me stop trying to make sense of something don't make no sense. Let me just embrace it and be led. When I do that, and when I'm mindful to do that, it make everything easy. It's my own will and desires that be having me frustrated when I don't meet it or I don't get it. But but I've been given my daily bread. You feel me? Tamika said, swallow that pill so many times. And that's what I had an issue with failure because of my own, like people put, I did to myself too, but I put such a high, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I had so much potential and, I had all these great things, especially when I was younger. When I didn't meet my own standards, I felt the need to punish myself. So let me just go get high since I can't be who I think I'm supposed to be anyway. You see what I'm saying? So I had an issue with failure. I fail so much, even currently, that failure doesn't bother my self-worth. It's not like, oh, my business venture didn't work, and I'll stick my head down. I'm like, oh, I'm used to stuff not working. Stuff don't work so much, it don't affect me none. I just find something else to work on or discover that ain't for me. You see what I'm saying? Like when I played football, I rolled my ankle so many times, it stopped swelling up. Like, with the whole rejection thing and all that. I've been rejected so much, I don't care nothing about it. Your loss. Again, not ego. Because how they say in the word, not put myself on this lens or in this, wavelength, but it said they were in the midst of and knew it not. You know what I'm saying? None of that bothered me. So, like a lot of stuff that typically tactics people would use against me is water off my back. Oh, I'm not talking to you anymore. Okay, I don't like talking like that, no way. And it's not like I'm learning anything from you or, you know what I'm saying? This attachment, which should be mutually beneficial, it's not like I'm losing anything. And I know how to operate with a little bit, so, okay. And that's what be making them mad too. The fact that the things as we've grown in our journey, right? The things that used to work against us don't work no more. I'm pretty sure I've been under witchcraft and had spells put on me, and I'm pretty sure they're doing it now. It don't work. Like the power is dissipating. And I'm saying that as well, especially on the left-hand side of things, with people who practice that or believe in that, they ain't got no power. Other than lip service and saying they got power, but I don't see them go through stuff effectively. I don't see them handle hardship, with any kind of gracefulness. You know what I mean? Here's one thing. I've never seen anybody own up to the part they play in the situation they put themselves in. And that's one of the things they teach us, like in the whole recovery world, that social acceptance doesn't constitute recovery. I know a whole bunch of people who are socially accepted and practice the worst business practices, ethics. It's like they don't want you around if they can't use you. So if you got your own mind and brain, they attack you or they'll shun you and then get mad when they discover you don't care nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? I call them people out. I kind of dialed it back because I had some other stuff going on. But I routinely tell them people about themselves. And here's the thing. You'll justify it when you do it. But if somebody were to do it to you, you would feel bad. How that work? That's why, and I've gotten out of this too, where I'll be honest with y'all. I want to see the bamboozler, not necessarily their destruction. I want to see them come off their high horse, but it's the intent for it. Come off your high horse so maybe you can repent. As I've had to do and continually and try to do every day, B. You know what I'm saying? Because if not, the very things that you're doing to sustain or be the very things you do to destroy you. They say, it's not the actual trap that kills the rat. It's actually the love of the cheese. You see what I'm saying? You folk, wow. But granted, in all fair and balance, I was wild. The only reason I'm not unalive now is because of the Most High grace and mercy. Man, I've had so many near-death experiences, I done forgot all of them. You know what I'm saying? And here's another dark truth of being quote-unquote chosen. You'll get grace and mercy doing wrong. And then when you do right, it seems like you catch hell for it. I should have been to prison a couple times and end up just, they throw it out or something crazy happen or whatever. I ran around with a lot of very nefarious characters, unarmed, and outside the situation with my partner at the time, and he's changed his life. He drives a truck now. I've never really been, shot at or robbed. I had a couple people steal off on me, and then I just come back and make it right. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's ever really hurt me. I've hurt me more than anybody else hurt me, and I'm in environments where predatory nature is the standard operating procedure. But then, let's say, call myself repentant, and now seemingly I can't get nowhere. Now I'm constantly rejected. Now here come this bill out of nowhere that I ain't never had. Now, the better I've gotten as a man, the less support I've gotten from my own family. You know what I'm saying? It don't make no sense. But it's not meant to make any sense because it's all spiritual. You feel me? It's not meant to make any sense. So stop trying, and I'm saying this to y'all, saying it to myself, stop trying to make sense of it. Just flow with it. Just flow with it. You know what I mean? Because it's just, I don't want to say insane, but I've noticed a greater rhetoric of bamboozlements in the chosen one, quote unquote, sector, which I believe has been corporatized to some degree. Or I'll make chosen one content, right, in reference to condemning someone else. And then my next video will be about something totally unchosen worthy. And then go about it in a way that's cringe worthy. Or I'll hold you to a scriptural standard, but not myself in the way I go about, going at you. You know what I'm saying? The hypocrisy of it all. You know what I'm saying? I'll condemn you for something, but then when I do it, I got a complete and valid justification for it. Where they do that at? And like I said, and here's another thing that my journey has created. I have a very sensitive conscience. Now, I might not know if I'm doing something right all the time, but I darn sure know if I'm doing it wrong, or if I'm doing wrong by folk, or if I'm trending a certain way where, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like in self-awareness, I can do something and be like, oh, I wasn't realize I was doing it. Because I'm constantly evaluating myself. I'm constantly critiquing myself. You know what I'm saying? Like even with, wanting to see the bamboozler, come up their high horse. What is my intent for that? Is it because I've suffered so long, I want to see somebody else suffering that has either one caused me suffering or others? Or do I want them to come out their high horse before they get destroyed? Like, these are the questions I ask myself. You see what I'm saying? Because vengeance is the Most High's. And I be having, I'm working on it, because it is kind of hard to have people do you wrong and then be given the ability to understand who these people is. You can kind of, at the very least, let them know not play with you. But then, the Most High wouldn't approve of it. So, is they going to think I'm soft, or will the Most High protect me as he always has? You see what I'm saying? Will you be obedient even though you don't understand? Or even if it seems like if I don't come through, you'll be in a worse situation. Can you do that? This is all a test of our obedience to him. How else do you get from, high school to college unless you take tests and pass it? I'm tired of being stuck taking the same tests and the same lessons. I want a new set of problems. I want some new enemies. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I'm really searching for, the growth as a human, as a spirit here in this physical realm. So, of course, we as humans would like to have the path of least resistance. But the path of least resistance actually make you weak. The reason I'm able to hold up with, whatever come down the pike now is because I'm used to the hardship. It's like asking a duck what it's like to be in the water. I'm just used to it. It would make me uncomfortable if I wasn't in it, because it's become the new norm for me. You know what I'm saying? But the issues of life, or, various situations aren't just haphazard. They're actually meant to produce what I'm deficient in, or to show me what I need to work on. So as long as I'm mindful to keep that, at the forefront of my brain, I don't see it from a personal aspect. I start saying, oh, what am I supposed to learn from this? Or what is this teaching me, rather? You see what I'm saying? Because I'm constantly learning. Brother Vincent says, vengeance is the Lord, but we're also supposed to strive to be like him. I definitely agree. I definitely agree. So I just call the people out. You know what I'm saying? That's how I antagonize them and all, because I'm the only person to do it. Because everybody else, oh, they're powerful, or oh, I still like them, or I hope they like me. You know how the brothers be pandering to the Jezebel women's and all that. You know what I mean? Because they want some of them, but they still don't respect them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't hate nobody, but I'm gonna tell the truth as I know it to be, because there's so many bamboozlers out here. I got to do it, and you'll be set apart just by doing that. And ain't nobody proved me to be a liar, and they know I'm telling the truth. So then they'll just act like they don't hear me. So if they act like they don't hear me, I'm like, oh, they ain't respond or whatever. Then I'll just keep laying the truth on them again. Not because I don't personally like them, but because I've seen them harm others, or I've seen them exploit others financially. That's why. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and even with me, brothers, Vincent, there's a duality to life. Light, dark, sunrise, sunset, rain, sun, you know what I'm saying? And I do have a very, I believe we all have in the core of, let's say, our cellular structure, the Most High's genetic code. So I love justice, but I'm also compassionate. I love giving, but I also like operating in wisdom with the giving. You see what I'm saying? I noticed that about myself. I have a propensity to be violent for a righteous cause, but I'm actually very gentle and meek. You understand me? Which are all components and attributes of a chosen one. You see what I'm saying? I can go, let's say the boxer man goes and he knocks the dude out, but then he go read, his children a bedtime story. This whole false thing of masculinity and all that is all the greatest, let's say, archetype of masculinity is the Most High, since ain't nothing or nobody over top of him. And when we read through the scripture, we see of his vengeance, his wrath poured out, and so on and so forth. But we also read about his grace and his mercy and his forgiveness. You understand me? His long suffering towards us. You see what I'm saying? We've seen him divorce Israel. You know what I'm saying? He done divorced them a couple times. So technically, the Most High has been cheated on and heartbroken by us. The Most High get mad, when we don't do right or we don't listen and so on and so forth. Just like I'll get mad if my daughter don't do it. So I'm just learning to submit, you know what I'm saying? In a time and a space where, there's the emasculation agenda and these various other components to actually paint true masculine in a bad light. So if you notice, and I'm all over the place with this, if you notice, you either got to be one or the other. You got to be the super flamboyant, zesty guy and the world will accept you. Or the hyper masculine, rah, 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 and the world will accept you. When either of those polar opposites aren't true masculinity. I believe true masculinity is embodying the knowledge of what attribute to produce or deploy in any given time. Just like I can be, okay, I'll use my daughter for example, right? At first I was kind of, coming down on her, whatever. But I felt like, in the word it say, provoke not your children to wrath. So yeah, she know I ain't playing, so now she does know that. But let me dial it back a little bit and let me reaffirm her. You know what I'm saying? Because I can do that so much so it knocks her confidence and her abilities as a young, lady coming up. So Yamanaki, you know what I'm saying? You got to have that. But let me build you back up. Because ultimately what I'm worried about is not necessarily you listening to me, which will work, but your own development as a young lady growing up here in a wicked society that wants nothing more for you to probably be a bitter single mother, harlot. And that's a fight in and of itself, because no man is more masculine than the system that owns the media and this, that, and the third, and whoop, whoop, whoop. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. So now I have to pray for the Most High to protect my child when I'm not around, and when I have limited legal rights, even though the child live with me. That's a hard pill to swallow. Sometimes I wish I knew this beforehand, but I guess you don't know stuff till you know it. You know what I'm saying? I have to pray every day for my daily bread because I work in an industry. Okay, here in Maryland, we're going through rampant budget cuts. They might be the biggest in the country. And I don't know when they do it, the next fiscal year, I'm not for sure. But we're about to embark on the greatest tax hikes in Maryland history. All, like, in my part, I'm in the health department field, right? There are budget cuts all over the place. Sometimes I wonder if I'm going to go to work and they done cut my job. In various counties in Maryland, they're not having, like in Baltimore here, I think Harford County as well, they're not, they don't have it in the fund for summer school, for tutors. Like some mental health providers aren't getting paid. It's real in the battlefield. So what you gonna do about it? Submit to the will Most High and not let that joint worry me half to death about the concerns and care of this life or what I'm gonna eat and what I'm gonna drink. And you know what I'm saying? That's in the word. So again, I'm not no a scriptural savant here, but from a fool who's just been, you know, in recent history, you know, redeemed in some wisdom and some knowledge. Now, the word doesn't necessarily seem religious. It actually seems practical, coming from a spiritual space to help you walk this thing out in a physical reality that is getting ever more wicked and darker and accepting of such behavior. And on that note, I'm gonna have to end this jump. Man, one love to everybody. I appreciate everybody who likes, share, subscribe. Shout out to Sister Mika, became a member. One love, y'all. Y'all enjoy y'all Sabbath. Ooh, ah!